Now, let's talk about a story that's just brilliant truly. It begins not under the bright, flashy lights of Hollywood, but in Santiago, Chile, during a rather tricky time. A little baby boy, José Pedro Balmaceda Pascal, was born into a world of political turmoil. His parents were lovely people, a child psychologist and a fertility doctor, but they found themselves on the wrong side of the Pinochet regime. It was a scary, uncertain period, and they were supporters of President Allende, which, as you can imagine, made life quite difficult. They were brave, hiding people and helping them, which put them in a great deal of danger. It's the sort of backstory you'd see in a film, isn't it? But this was their actual life. Before Pedro was even a year old, his family had to make a run for it. They climbed the wall of the Venezuelan embassy in Santiago, seeking political asylum. Can you even picture it? It's just incredible. From there, they found their way to Denmark before finally landing in the United States. First, they settled in San Antonio, Texas, and later moved to Orange County, California. It was a complete whirlwind, a massive change from everything they had ever known. Young Pedro had to adapt to a new country, a new language, and a completely different culture, all while his parents worked tirelessly to build a new life from scratch for him and his siblings. This incredible journey from political refugee to American kid is the foundation of everything. It gave him a depth that you just can't fake. So, with this dramatic start in life, you might think Hollywood would just roll out the red carpet. Oh, not a bit of it. After discovering a love for drama in high school, Pedro packed his bags and headed for the big leagues, studying at the prestigious Tisch School of the Arts in New York City. He was full of hope, ready to become the next big thing. But the reality of being a jobbing actor in New York is a tough gig. For years, he was what you'd call a classic struggling artist. He waited tables, a rite of passage for so many, and took on any little role he could get his hands on. He was doing all the right things, you know? He appeared in all those shows that actors cut their teeth on. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Law and Order, NYPD Blue. He even changed his name for a while to Pedro Balmaceda, then Alexander Pascal, hoping it might open a few more doors. It was a grind, a relentless cycle of auditions, near misses, and tiny paychecks. He spent nearly 2 decades in this phase, a testament to his sheer refusal to give up on his dream. Most people would have packed it in and gone to sell insurance or something sensible. But there was something in Pedro that just kept him going. He was honing his craft in small, off-Broadway plays, learning from every single experience. This period wasn't a failure. It was his training ground, his University of Hard Knocks. It's where he built the foundation of the actor we admire today. And then, just when you think the story might end there, something magical happens. A role comes along that changes everything. For Pedro, that role was the magnificent, swaggering, and tragically doomed OberynMartell in Game of Thrones. My goodness, what an entrance! He exploded onto our screens with such charisma and charm, you couldn't take your eyes off him. The Red Viper was flamboyant, passionate, and driven by a fierce love for his family and a thirst for vengeance. Pedro didn't just play the part, he embodied it. He gave the character a soul that wasn't just on the page, and the world sat up and took notice. Suddenly, everyone was asking, who is that guy? His performance was so powerful that his character's, shall we say, eye-popping demise became one of the most talked-about moments in television history. He smartly followed up his Throne success with another powerhouse role, this time as the determined DEA agent JavierPeña in Netflix's Narcos. This was a completely different character. Gone was the flamboyant prince. In his place was a weary, morally complex lawman chasing the infamous Pablo Escobar. It was a grounded, gritty, and incredibly nuanced performance. It proved he wasn't a one-trick pony. The show was a global hit, and with his face on billboards everywhere, he solidified his status as a leading man. And just when we thought we had him figured out, he did something extraordinary. He took on the role of DinDjarin in TheMandalorian, the lead in the first-ever live-action Star Wars series. But here's the brilliant part. He did it almost entirely from behind a helmet. He managed to create a character beloved by millions, using only his voice and his body language. He conveyed love, pain, and fierce loyalty without ever showing his face. It was a masterclass in acting, proving that his talent went far beyond a charming smile. With these 3 massive roles under his belt, the world didn't just know Pedro Pascal the actor, they were starting to fall in love with Pedro Pascal the person. What's so fantastic is that as his fame grew, he didn't retreat into some mysterious celebrity bubble. Quite the opposite. He let his personality shine through in interviews, on red carpets, and on social media. People discovered that the man who could play a vengeful prince or a stoic warrior was in reality a giggling, self-deprecating, and incredibly warm human being. He is fiercely supportive of his friends and family, especially his sister Lux Pascal, who is a transgender actress. He uses his platform to champion LGBTQ+ rights and other causes he believes in, but he does it with a gentleness and sincerity that feels completely natural. He isn't preaching, he's just being a good brother and a decent person. In an industry that can often feel very manufactured, his genuine kindness stands out a mile. Then came The Last of Us. This was the role that cemented his place as a true Hollywood heavyweight. As JoelMiller, a broken man tasked with protecting a young girl in a post-apocalyptic world, he gave a performance that was simply breathtaking. He blended toughness with a heart-wrenching vulnerability, showing the profound grief and reluctant love of his character. The chemistry he shared with his co-star, Bella Ramsey, was the core of the show's success. He wasn't just acting, he was bearing his soul on screen, and audiences connected with it on a deeply emotional level. The show was a critical and commercial phenomenon. He earned Emmy and Golden Globe nominations, and suddenly, he wasn't just a popular actor, he was one of the most respected actors of his generation. From an unknown stage actor to the face of 2 of the biggest franchises in the world and the star of a critically acclaimed drama, Pedro Pascal had become an undeniable, bona fide superstar. And he did it all by being himself. So here we are, in the glorious era of Pedro Pascal. It feels like he's everywhere, and honestly, no one is complaining. It's quite a thing to become a global phenomenon in your late 40s. It's a wonderful reminder that success doesn't have a deadline. He's not the typical cookie-cutter leading man. There's a lived-in quality to him, a sense of a life fully experienced, with all its ups and downs. That's what makes him so compelling to watch. He feels real. What's truly wonderful is how he seems to be handling it all. There's no big ego, no celebrity drama. He still seems slightly bemused by all the attention, as if he can't quite believe his luck. He often talks about his long years of struggle not with bitterness, but with gratitude, because it taught him to appreciate every moment of his current success. He's the star who still feels like one of us, the guy you'd love to have a pint with down the pub. Looking ahead, the future is incredibly bright. He's got massive projects lined up, including joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the Fantastic Four. He's at that perfect point in his career where he can do anything he wants. Directors and writers are all clamoring to work with him, not just because he's a bankable star, but because he brings a certain magic, a depth and humanity to every single role he touches. He elevates every project he's a part of. In the end, the story of Pedro Pascal is more than just a Hollywood success story. It's a story about resilience, about starting over, about staying true to yourself through decades of rejection, and about the power of kindness. He's a hero on screen, yes, but it's his off-screen persona, the supportive brother, the grateful artist, the giggling man who seems to love his job, that has truly captured the world's heart. He's Hollywood's favorite hero because he reminds us that sometimes the good guys really do finish first, and we can't wait to see what he does next. It's going to be brilliant.